About 10 years ago, my family made the decision to go and buy ourselves a pet dog. We did our research, we looked into the breed we wanted, which was a Maltese Shih Tzu. This was a medium to small sized dog with a really great temperament, apparently, for family members and kids. So we went out and bought this beautiful looking little puppy, brought him home. What a lovely dog he was, just walking around the home, beautiful. And I said to my wife, hey, how about as a joke, let's name our dog Cujo. And my thinking was this. There was a film back in 1983 called Cujo. It was a horror film based on this dog, a St. Bernard dog, that goes off to this cave, gets bitten by this bat, and transforms into this mad, angry, ravenous, rabies-filled dog that goes into the town and creates mayhem and terror. So my idea was Cujo, this fluffy little Maltese Shih Tzu, would hear someone come to the door. He would bound up to the door with his tongue hanging out, tail wagging, beautiful demeanour. The people would come in and they would see him, pat him, and they'd say to us, oh, what a beautiful dog you own. What's the name of your dog? And I would say, Cujo. And they would say, oh, isn't that the name of a horror film about a dog? Well, it turns out Cujo has actually become the nightmare which we didn't think he would be. Cujo, he's a beautiful dog. He'll sit on our lap at home or sit on the couch, and wonderful, beautiful, home-bodied dog. But if he hears someone pull up in that driveway, if he hears someone let alone knock at the door, well, he will jump off the couch. His eyeballs will roll backwards. His jaw dislodges and he runs to the door ready to devour whoever walks through. He turns into quite a nasty piece of work, young Cujo. So he has that side of him, but he is still our wonderful dog that we love very much. But there's one thing for Cujo that he loves, probably more than anything, is the gate. The gate is at the very side of our house. And Cujo knows that when we go to that gate with the lead in our hand, he starts to wag his tail. He starts to do spins around on the floor in complete excitement because he knows it's going to lead to two magical places. Either, one, a walk, or it's going to lead to the car. And the car is the trip he loves, so he can stick his head out the window and enjoy the trip. But for Cujo, that's what he lives for. He lives for a walk and he lives for a car drive. The gate takes him to that place. Now in John's Gospel, Jesus is speaking to people and he says to them, I am the gate. And Christ explains that the sheep who were in the pen, this stone circular pen they used to have in that area in those days, had a single gate. And Jesus says, I am the one that can swing open and allows the sheep to move from the pen into the green pastures to be fed and to be nourished. Jesus makes the claim to be the one who leads these sheep to life through the gate. We're all looking for a gate in life, some form of greener pastures we can cross over into. I know people, when you start off in school, particularly primary school or high school, you are studying and you think to yourself, oh, doing all this study and homework, this is so bad. I am just wanting some greener pastures. When I cross through the gate of this school and get into the workforce, I'll be much happier. And then we get through that gate and get into the workforce, but we start to find that some of the people you're working with are just as difficult as the kids used to be at school with. So we think to ourselves, well, there must be another greener pasture we can go to. So then we go through the gates of marriage, and it's great for a little while. And then we start to think to ourselves, well, there must be something else other than just this. So then we think of money, and we go through the gates to try and chase money. And whether we find money or not, it never seems to be enough. It's not green enough for us. So then we go through the final gate of wanting to retire. But when we get to retirement, not everyone, particularly when it comes to health, finds retirement easy at all. We're all looking for this greener pasture, but we don't seem to find it. And yet Christ says, I am the gate that leads to that greener pasture of life. If Jesus was speaking in Australia in 2023, I wonder how people would respond to him claiming, "I am the gate." I think, knowing my culture, there would be a large group of people who would want to say, now hang on, Jesus, you claiming to be the gate? Aren't there a whole lot of other religious groups out there also claiming to be the gates to greener pastures, the gates to greener truths? Aren't there secondary individuals also making those claims? Aren't you one of a smorgasbord of people? Surely I would need to be open-minded and consider all the claims before making any commitment to one claim. Well, I think on one hand, Jesus would agree with that. Jesus does actually say that there are people jumping this fence of that sheep pen, wanting to take sheep away. Not because they want to take the sheep to greener pastures, but because they want to use the sheep for their own self-gratification, for their own self-promotion, for their own fortune or fame, to promote themselves. They are not leading them to greener pastures because Jesus describes such people as thieves and robbers, wanting to use people up. And Jesus warns against such people. So don't be gullible and follow the first person who says to you, "I am a gate. I can lead you to somewhere better." But what Jesus puts forward is an intriguing claim. Later on, Jesus says, not only is he the gate, but he says, "My sheep know my voice. When I call out from the gate, my sheep know who I am." Our dog Cujo goes nuts when someone comes to the door. His eyes roll back, his jaw dislodges, he turns into this ravenous being because he doesn't know who's behind the door. He is very skeptical about who's behind that door. It's not until he hears a voice from either myself or my wife or even my daughter that Cujo suddenly calms down because he now knows that his master is home. And Jesus, when he says, "My sheep know my voice," he says that when the master is at the gate, he will be recognized by the flock. Jesus is not leaving us with an intellectual dilemma. He's leaving us with a spiritual dilemma. His claim to be the gate is not requiring us to have an open mind. It's requiring us to have open ears. There's only one question we need to answer. When Jesus says, "I am the gate," what type of voice do you hear?